The gravity flickered again, just enough to make the cup drift half a centimeter before settling back down with quiet defiance. He stared at it like it had personally insulted him. "Stay," he muttered, as if negotiating with a stubborn animal. The cup did not respond, which he took as a sign of cooperation. Behind him, the dragon stretched along the outer ring of the station, its massive body coiled in a slow, deliberate spiral that ignored the laws of physics out of habit rather than effort. Its voice pressed into his mind with the weight of ancient annoyance. "You are losing an argument with a cup." "It started it," he said, tightening a panel that absolutely did not want to be tightened. The station hummed unevenly, like it was trying to remember a song it used to know. "And if you're not going to help, at least pretend to look impressed." "I am impressed," the dragon replied. "Impressed that you have not yet been spaced by your own incompetence." He smirked despite himself, tapping the console. The navigation core flickered, star maps blinking in and out like uncertain memories. He leaned closer, frowning. "That's not good. You say that often. It rarely leads to improvement." Before he could respond, the air changed. Not colder, not warmer, just different, like a note in the universe had been quietly retuned. He turned slowly, instinct tightening in his chest, before his mind caught up. She stood near the observation window, as if she had always been there, as if he had simply failed to notice her until now. Her posture was calm, balanced in a way that made the unstable gravity seem irrelevant. At first glance, she looked entirely human. Then she shifted slightly, and he saw the long, elegant ears curving back from her head, catching the dim station light. He blinked. "Okay," he said carefully, "either I've finally broken something important or you're real." She tilted her head, considering him with quiet interest. "Both are possible." "That's not comforting." The dragon's presence sharpened, attention narrowing. "It smells wrong," it murmured, "not dangerous, just incorrect." "I heard that," he whispered. "Good." He cleared his throat, stepping closer, trying to appear like someone who regularly encountered mysterious women who appeared out of nowhere. "You didn't come in through the airlock." "No," she said simply. "Great, that's my favorite answer." He gestured vaguely at the station. "This place is falling apart, by the way. If you're here for repairs, you're going to be disappointed." Her gaze shifted past him, toward the void beyond the glass. "They are early." "Who is?" The stars distorted. It wasn't dramatic at first. Just a slight bending, like light reconsidering its path. Then the darkness split, and shapes emerged, sleek, angular vessels sliding into existence with unnatural precision. An armada, vast and silent, their surfaces absorbing the faint glow of distant suns. He stared, mouth slightly open. "You've got to be kidding me." The dragon uncoiled, its massive form tightening with sudden focus. "Ah, that explains the smell." Weapons flared across the fleet, energy gathering in synchronized pulses. He took a step back, calculating distances, angles, survival odds. The answer was immediate and deeply unsatisfying. "We should run," he said. "Yes," the dragon agreed. "We should." He turned to her. "Good news, we're all in agreement." The first volley fired. Light surged toward them, brilliant and absolute. He didn't even have time to curse properly. Then, it stopped, not slowed, not deflected. It simply wasn't there anymore. The space in front of the station was empty, as if the attack had been reconsidered and politely withdrawn. He blinked once, twice. Did they miss?" "No," she said. "Did you?" "Yes." He stared at her, then at the empty void, then back at her again. "That feels like something you should have mentioned earlier." She smiled faintly, her long ears shifting ever so slightly. "You didn't ask." He let out a slow breath, running a hand through his hair. "Right, of course, my mistake. Next time I'll make sure to ask the mysterious stranger if she can casually ignore reality." The dragon huffed in his mind. Ask her if she can fix the cup as well. He almost laughed, the sound slipping out despite the Armada still waiting beyond the glass. "You know what? If we survive this, that's actually my next request." Her gaze returned to the fleet, calm and unreadable. "We will not survive it," she said. He paused. "That's not the direction I was hoping you'd go." "Not like this," she added. He looked at her again, something in his chest tightening, not fear exactly, but the sense that everything had just shifted beyond recognition. "Then how?" She met his eyes, and for a moment, it felt like standing at the edge of something vast and unknowable. "We change it." The station did not explode. which he considered a modest but meaningful success. He stood frozen for half a second longer than necessary, then pointed at the empty space where certain death had just failed to happen. "You said we wouldn't survive. That looked a lot like surviving." She moved past him as if the argument had already been resolved somewhere else. "That outcome ended. I liked that outcome. It was inefficient." The dragon shifted, claws scraping lightly against the station's hull without quite touching it. "Inefficient is a polite way of saying we were about to become vapor." He rubbed his temples. "I'm starting to feel like I'm the only one here who finds that concerning." The Armada outside did not wait for his emotional adjustment. The ships realigned, their formation tightening with cold precision. This time, the energy gathering along their hulls pulsed differently, as if they had learned something from the previous failure. "They're adapting," he said. "They always do," she replied. "Good, love that. Adaptive enemies, very comforting." The dragon's voice lowered. "Then we should adapt faster." "I'm open to suggestions," he snapped. "Preferably ones that don't involve me dying as a learning experience." She stopped at the console, placing her hand lightly against its surface. The flickering star map stabilized for a brief, impossible moment, every coordinate aligning with unnatural clarity. Her long ears tilted slightly, as if listening to something far beyond the station. "They are correcting," she said. "For what?" "For me." He let out a short laugh that had no humor in it. "Of course they are. Why wouldn't a massive alien fleet be here for you specifically?" The dragon exhaled slowly. "Because she does not belong to the version of reality they maintain." He glanced between them. "You say that like it makes sense." "It does," the dragon replied. Unfortunately, the next volley came faster. He saw it this time, the exact moment the weapons fired, the precise trajectory of destruction racing toward them. His body reacted before his thoughts did, grabbing the edge of the console as if that would somehow anchor him against annihilation. Then he tripped. It was not heroic. It was not strategic. His foot caught on a loose cable he had meant to fix hours ago, and he stumbled forward with a very undignified sound. The world snapped. The blast never reached them. Instead, it veered. No, not veered. Corrected, slamming into empty space just slightly off course. The Armada's formation faltered for a fraction of a second, a ripple of confusion passing through perfect alignment. He stayed on the ground, staring. "I meant to do that." The dragon was silent for a long moment. "I refused to believe that." She looked down at him, something faintly amused in her expression. "You changed the sequence." "I fell. You interfered." "With my own balance." She considered that, then nodded slightly. "Yes." He pushed himself up, brushing off his hands. "Great. So the secret to defeating an unstoppable alien fleet is being incredibly clumsy." The dragon huffed. "Finally, a strategy you excel at." He ignored that, turning back to the viewport. The ships were shifting again, but slower this time, as if recalculating with new uncertainty. They didn't like that. "They cannot predict you," she said. "Neither can I," he muttered. "That is why you matter." He blinked, caught off guard by the certainty in her voice. "You've known me for, what, 5 minutes?" "Long enough." "That's concerning on multiple levels." The station trembled, a deeper vibration running through its structure. Warning lights flickered to life, accompanied by a very unhelpful alarm that sounded like it had given up halfway through its own purpose. The dragon lifted its head, attention sharpening. More are coming. He squinted at the dark beyond the fleet and saw it. More distortions, more ships pressing into existence from angles that shouldn't exist. Layers of them, overlapping, as if reality itself was being stacked. He let out a slow breath. "That seems excessive." "They are increasing pressure," she said. "On what?" "On the outcome." He glanced at her, then back at the growing Armada. "And what's our outcome right now?" She met his eyes, calm as ever. "Unstable." He smiled faintly despite everything. "Good, I've always preferred things that way." The dragon's voice curled with something almost like approval. "Then let us make it worse." He cracked his knuckles, stepping toward the controls. "I was hoping you'd say that." Outside, the Armada advanced again. This time, he didn't wait for her to change anything. He didn't wait for reality to break again. His hands moved across the console with a confidence that would have been impressive if it weren't built entirely on improvisation and mild panic. "If they can predict patterns," he said, "then we stop having patterns." The dragon shifted, a low, pleased rumble echoing through his mind. "Finally, a plan that sounds like you." Insult noted, he muttered, rerouting power in a way that made at least 3 warning lights give up completely. The station groaned, then lurched hard. Not forward, not backward, but sideways, slipping along a vector that didn't quite exist. Outside, the Armada hesitated. They didn't like that, he said. They cannot follow what is not consistent, she replied. He glanced at her. She looked thinner somehow. Not physically, but present in a way that felt less certain, like a reflection losing clarity. Her long ears trembled slightly, as if straining to hear something fading. They're not just attacking, are they? He said quietly. No, she answered. They are correcting. For you, for everything I changed. He swallowed, looking back at the growing layers of ships. And if they succeed, I will not be here, she said simply. The dragon's voice dropped, heavy and certain, nor will any version of this moment. He exhaled slowly. Right. No pressure then. Another wave of energy built across the fleet, brighter this time, sharper, like a decision being finalized. He could feel it, not just see it, the certainty of it, the inevitability. She stepped closer to the viewport, her gaze steady despite the storm forming around them. I can stop it again, she said, but each time I lose more. He shook his head immediately. No. She looked at him, a faint crease of confusion breaking her calm. You do not understand the scale. I understand enough, he cut in. You keep fixing everything and they keep fixing you. That loop doesn't end well. The dragon hummed in agreement. He is correct. Annoyingly, he ignored that, stepping in front of her. You said they can't predict me. They cannot. Good, he took a breath. Then we don't play their game. No rewrites, no corrections. She studied him, something uncertain flickering behind her eyes. That leads to failure. Yeah, he said with a small, crooked smile, but it'll be our failure. The dragon's amusement curled through his thoughts. I am starting to like this version of you. The Armada fired. For a split second, everything aligned toward destruction, every trajectory perfect, every outcome inevitable. He didn't wait for her to change it. He reached for the manual override and slammed it. The station bucked violently, its failing systems pushed beyond every reasonable limit. It twisted, engines flaring in chaotic bursts, dragging the entire structure into a spin that made no tactical sense whatsoever. The blast hit, and scattered, not because it was erased, not because it was rewritten, but because it couldn't settle on a single target anymore. The station wasn't where it was supposed to be, wasn't moving the way it should. The outcome fractured, splitting into possibilities that refused to agree. The Armada faltered, just for a moment, but it was enough. The dragon surged forward, tearing free from the station's orbit with a roar that echoed through vacuum and mind alike. Fire, real, impossible fire, ripped through the nearest ships, their perfect formations collapsing into something almost chaotic. He laughed, breathless. Okay, that actually worked. Briefly, the dragon replied. Do not get overconfident. I wasn't planning to. He turned back to her. She was still there, not fading, not unraveling, just watching him, something softer in her expression now, something that hadn't been there before. You didn't change it, he said. No, she answered. Why not? Her long ears shifted slightly, relaxing for the first time. Because you did. He let out a quiet breath, tension he hadn't noticed finally easing. Turns out I'm good for something. Yes, she said, and there was the faintest hint of a smile. You are unpredictable. The remaining ships began to pull back, their formations breaking, their certainty gone. Without a stable outcome to enforce, they hesitated, and then, one by one, slipped back into the distortions they had come from. The silence that followed felt real. He leaned against the console, staring out at the empty space. So, we won. The dragon circled back, settling with a satisfied rumble. We disrupted them. That is close enough. He nodded slowly, then glanced at her again. And you. She stepped closer, no longer distant, no longer untouchable. I am still here. Good, he said. I was getting used to that. For a moment, neither of them spoke. The station creaked around them, barely holding together, alarms now reduced to a tired, occasional beep. He looked down at the cup. It floated up slightly, then settled again. He pointed at it. Can you fix that? She followed his gaze, then looked back at him. You could. He considered that, then reached out and steadied it with his hand. The gravity flickered once more, then held. He smiled faintly. Yeah, he said. I guess I could. The station didn't fall apart immediately, which he decided counted as a victory worth appreciating. He tightened the last panel with a careful twist, then stepped back, watching the light stabilize into something that almost resembled reliability. There, he said, not perfect, but neither am I. The dragon shifted lazily outside, its tail drifting across the stars like it owned them. You are improving. It is unsettling. I aim to disappoint you eventually, he replied, wiping his hands. He paused, then added, actually no, I'm going to keep this up. Feels nice. She stood near the viewport again, but this time she didn't look distant. The stillness around her felt earned rather than imposed, like something that had chosen to remain instead of something that might vanish. Her long ears tilted slightly as he approached, catching the faint hum of the station. They're gone, he said. For now, she answered. He nodded. I'll take for now. That's more than I had yesterday. The dragon's voice carried a trace of dry amusement. Yesterday you were arguing with a cup. I won that argument, he said. You negotiated a ceasefire. Still counts. She watched him for a moment, then said, you changed more than the outcome. He leaned against the console, crossing his arms. Yeah, you stopped waiting for something else to decide for you. He let that sit for a second, then shrugged lightly. Turns out, relying on reality to behave itself isn't a great strategy. No, she said, it is not. He glanced at her more carefully. And you, no disappearing, no unraveling. She shook her head once. Not while I remain within a single path. Meaning, I am no longer rewriting everything. He smiled faintly. Good, that job looked exhausting. It was, she admitted. The dragon lowered its massive head closer to the station, its presence filling the space between them. Then what are you now? She considered the question, her gaze shifting briefly to the stars before returning. Present. He nodded slowly. I like that answer. Silence settled again, but it wasn't empty. The station hummed steadily, the stars held their places without bending, and for once, nothing was trying to erase them. He pushed himself upright. So, what happens next? The dragon answered first. We leave before something else decides to find us. Fair, he said. He looked at her. You coming with us? She didn't hesitate. Yes. Good, he replied, as if it had never been uncertain. He moved toward the controls, then paused, glancing back at the viewport one last time. You know, for a repair job, this got out of hand. The dragon snorted. Your life tends to do that. I'm noticing a pattern, he said, then stopped himself. Actually, no patterns. We agreed on that. He activated the engines, and this time the station responded without protest, sliding forward into open space with a steady, deliberate motion. No distortions. No fractures. Just movement. She stepped beside him, her shoulder almost touching his. You are still unpredictable, she said. Don't sound so surprised. I am not, she replied softly. He glanced at her, then back at the stars ahead. Good, because I'm not done causing problems. The dragon's laughter echoed through his mind, deep and approving. Then let us find better ones. The station moved on, leaving behind a quiet stretch of space that no longer needed to be corrected.